They call him the investigator. He's in the house with us. His name is Jimmy Leach. And Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Several things going on. The RAP program, you say, has been featured.
Yeah, that's Women Men's Rape Assistance Program here in Jackson. Great program. And Jackson Sun newspaper did a great article on them this past week, outlining all the ways that they can help people. And they're also in need of help themselves. They didn't have their major fundraiser last year due to food and stuff. And looking to the public for some help if you can see your way. Their number, and this is for people who need help or that can help RAP, either one. Their number is 731-668-0411. 731-668-0411. And they have all kinds of ways to help you. I got involved with them back years ago. UT Martin hired Dennis and I to do the thing for all incoming freshmen on domestic violence. And we went and got information from them. They're very helpful. And they provide a myriad of services that are valuable to people.
Several things to talk about, but there is a murder trial that's caught your eye. That's Robert Dorsch. What's this?
Robert Dorsch. This is an old thing. There was an HBO special called The Jinx on this guy. It's a 1 hour story, but it's real. He was a wealthy guy. He was heir to a real estate empire, I think in New York or somewhere. And his wife disappeared. She was going to medical school. She disappeared back in 82 or 83. Okay, just on the way to school one day, bang, gone, never showed up. Various things kind of pointed to foul play. He ended up moving to Texas, Galveston, I believe, and supposedly got into an argument with his neighbor out there and ended up shooting and killing his neighbor. Wow. And he was acquitted on that, said it was self-defense. Okay. He served a little time for a gun charge or something, but after he killed this guy, he decided he better get rid of the body, so he dismembered the body, threw his body parts away and all that. Anyway, he was acquitted.
He was acquitted of that.
What he's on trial for now?
Because he's on trial.
He's on trial. He's testified. Yeah, I think he made a resumed testimony this morning. I think. But what he's on trial for, a friend of his who helped do his public relations with his wife's disappearance, he is accused of killing her back.
Never been charged with his wife's disappearance.
No, never been charged with that. And you know, we talked about this.
She's never been found.
Never been found, and you and I have talked about this before. Lately, they've started charging people with murder when they couldn't find the body, but used to you didn't do that, or hardly ever would do that. So anyway, but that's an interesting trial that's going on now. They try to get him. His defense is try to get him off because of health reasons. He's old.
Right.
And I think he's, wearing masks and stuff, but he is testifying. And I saw an attorney speculating last week that his testimony in front of the jury would be very, very compelling to the jury because of his demeanor. He said he had pretty tough demeanor, and
he's good at what he does.
And supposedly the lady that's dead, they're going to say she had ties to the mafia. It's a very interesting case. Very interesting. And it's coming to a conclusion.
So he kills a guy that they say in self-defense, but after he kills him, he dismembers the body.
Yeah, just
would that not raise questions in your mind about whether or not this was self-defense, right? I mean, why would it be self-defense?
Out of the country, you just got out a clue.
Well, he's in Texas. All right, so. Wow. Let's get back on some other things about this police relationship. We've got some deputies in Los Angeles County, I guess, that are suing a gunmaker over what they call ghost guns.
It's kind of unusual.
So they're suing them.
Yep. They got shot. They were ambushed. This was 2019, maybe, or 2020. It's been a year or two ago. They were ambushed, sitting in their car. Guy walks up and shoots them. Luckily, didn't kill anybody. He shot them real bad. I don't think they ever returned to duty. And this is the first one of these lawsuits that I've seen. That's the reason I know that. And they have sued a gunmaker who was making parts for what they call ghost guns.
Where they can't be traced.
They can't be traced. crazy.
Here's these three deep
And
rooms.
I haven't heard anybody around here say much about that, but I hadn't asked anybody. But I read in the metropolitan areas, evidently this is becoming really a problem. They're finding a lot of these, especially of course in the gang situation, finding a lot of those ones that can't be traced.
3D printing is an amazing thing, but also it's consequence.
Yes, I just don't understand how that works, but obviously it does.
You make component parts. So, but they're actually suing the people that actually made the parts.
Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
The assumption would have to be that if it's a ghost gun, you're up to no good.
Well, I would guess, but a good lawyer is going to make a good argument. He can turn a story around.
That will be an
quick.
interesting case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of relationships with the police and the community, Chicago mayor has some officers that are shot.
Continues to be a mess. Well, one shot and one killed.
Okay.
And the one that's and still in critical condition, I think. And that, just as an aside, that officer has I believe it's his sister, who's a law enforcement officer up in East Tennessee. I saw on the website.
So in Chicago, police officers killed and others in.
Yeah, and what happened, we keep saying there's no such thing as a routine traffic stop.
Right.
This was over a registration violation. These two officers pulled the car over, and the guys got out, and one of them ran, and the officer was still alive, chased that, and then he heard gunfire and came back, and the other guy that was in the car had shot this officer and ended up shooting her execution style in the back of the head. The mayor came to the hospital to see the one that was injured, and the officer, of course, was a whole bunch of officers there at the hospital. And when the mayor came in, they turned their back on her. And said, "No, you got." As a matter of fact, supposedly a father, I believe it's a father of the officer that was shot in the hospital, and that father had been a police officer in Chicago himself. And he said, "Don't you let her come up here. She's got blood on her hands." Well, the next day, she was on TV saying, "Look, police are our friends, and we got to work with them," and this kind of thing. But just totally not what she's been saying. Bad situation. But we got an officer dead, a female officer, 29 years old.
Got another interesting development in Wisconsin. The sheriff's department there, and one of the local security companies is offering to help out in the sheriff's department.
Well, this
On a volunteer basis, paid basis, contract basis.
well, it's a business deal, and this I don't know what made it crop up. It showed up in the news
So you
last
would
week.
deputize the security company?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
Here's what this is in reaction to. Do you remember there was a guy named Jacob Blake up in Kenosha County, Wisconsin, back a year or two ago. He got in a fight. We got police call him. He got in a fight with police. Got away from police. Went back to his vehicle. There's a knife in the floorboard. Kids in the back seat. They had to shoot him. All right. And they started a lot of civil unrest up there. The guy, Jacob Blake, when he got out of the hospital, came back and said, "I was wrong. I apologize to the police. I shouldn't have fought them. I shouldn't have done this." But it doesn't matter. But when it does to me. But,
Well, I'm asking interesting.
yeah, very interesting. The police couldn't let him. He's going for he's got a knife in the floorboard, got 3 kids in the back, and obviously he's trying to get away from them. They can't let him go. They're killing kids in car chase, whatever. But they can't let him get a gun. He done whooped 2 or 3 of them. And anyway, they had riots and what have you in Kenosha. And they had these militia groups called the Kenosha Guard showed up to help. And they welcomed them. They were good help. And we've heard of militias in Wisconsin before. A group of them got arrested for trying to kidnap the governor and all that stuff. Anyway, one of the 17-year-old that belonged to the militia thing got in a shootout, killed 2 people and wounded 2 others, I believe. All right. At that time, and why this is just not coming to news, I don't know. But at that time, the sheriff was there, got a letter or an email or something, and said, "I am so and so with," and it's a company. And he said, "What we will do," he said, "we provide security services, and we're not like a regular security company. We got ex-military, this kind of thing. And we will come in, we will set up a chain of command. We will educate them as to the laws. You won't be civilly liable."
So it's a buffer between them and these.
It is, and we may see a lot more of this coming. Like in Minneapolis, let's say, you still got a judge's order up there that says they got to have so many people on that police department. They just had a hearing on that last week, and the judge said, "Nope, your city charter says according to the population, you got to have so many police." And at the same time, The city council is still talking about defunding or maybe doing away with the police. So, you know, we
So
may
private
see,
contracting might be
we
the way,
may
and
see
volunteer
more of this.
or
And when they asked the sheriff about, the sheriff said, you know, back earlier, the sheriff said, look, no, I can't be responsible. These people are not trained. This guy says, look, we'll train them, we'll do everything, we'll take care of everything. So that's kind of interesting. You know, I had a roommate or not a roommate, but a friend at the FBI National Academy. This was back in '83, and he was chief of the York, Pennsylvania Regional Police Department. A concept at that time that I'd never heard of. I think it still exists. I tried to check on it not long ago, but it was made up of some I think basically some suburbs around York, Pennsylvania, and they just went there and hired their own police department, and it was legitimate. I mean, this guy was at the FBI National Academy, so it was a legitimate thing. So.
Jimmy Leach, the investigator. Steve Bowers with you were on the way to a conversation with Tom Scuderi from the Pentagon. The show Saturday.
I hadn't even talked to producer
Hadn't
yet
talked
on
to
what we're going to do this Saturday.
We like 360. What direction we're going, we don't know yet.
It'll be a dandy.
So I gotta go on. We'll talk to Tom Scuderi next.